For more on this, I'm joined by our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, first of all, should these comments be taken seriously?
Well, I think you have to remember that many of these comments are not directed at the West, but they're directed at Russian public opinion. And that is something that I think Vladimir Putin and his closest allies are very worried about. If you look at the map, which is behind me, you can see the advances that are being made by Ukrainian forces in the east of the country into those areas that Catherine Norris-Trent was just telling us about that have been annexed by Russia. That decree signed yesterday by Vladimir Putin. He's also taken over, according to Russia, the running of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, which is now part of the Russian Federation. That is not taken seriously by anybody in the West, the international community. Everyone has dismissed Russia's claims to those areas as just a sham, and that referendum, those referendums that took place just over a week ago. So I think that the Russians are not giving much out. The Ukrainians also are not giving much out about just how much of advance they are making. I think that is basically because they don't want to give anything away to the other side. And this is really a huge embarrassment for President Putin, because remember back in February, he wanted to just go in there in 3 days, take control of Ukraine, overthrow Volodymyr Zelensky and the government and put in a Russian-backed government into Kyiv. That has not worked out. There's also been the fiasco over the calling up of all these Russian forces. Figures from the US, 300,000 was the call-up figure. Figures from the EU say 220,000 Russian men have fled over the border since then to get away from eventually trying to be called up into the Russian army to fight in Ukraine. So there has to be some positive news for the Russians, and that's what President Putin and his close allies are trying to do.
Now, Moscow's also warning that a U.S. decision to send more military aid to Ukraine could increase the possibility of a direct military clash. But with Russia losing ground like this, is that even likely?
Well, that also is something that the Russians are very angry about. They've been saber-rattling towards the U.S. If you look at the figures given by the U.S., $17 billion worth of aid to Ukraine so far, another $625 million on the way, and 4 high-mobility artillery rocket systems which can send missiles over 80-kilometer distance to knock out munitions depots, bridges, and command posts. So the Russians are furious about that. And the upper hand now is in the side of the Ukrainians, who have more up-to-date weapons than the Russians do. But Russia can't really do anything about that concerning the US, because the US is not directly involved in the conflict. The US is in the United States. So how are they going to clash with the US directly? And second point is, the United States is a member of NATO, and an attack against one NATO country is an attack against all NATO countries. So Russia, if it were to try to launch some kind of an attack against the United States, would have all of the NATO countries backing the United States and opening hostilities towards Russia. So it's a very long shot by the Russian regime, but this is a process of intimidation against the West.
Now, the big question that many people are asking themselves is, do we think that Vladimir Putin could indeed use nuclear weapons in a bid to swing this conflict?
And we don't have the answer to that question, Jeannie. We don't know exactly what Vladimir Putin is thinking. We don't know how he's advised, but these are the figures. 5,977 nuclear warheads in Russia, 5,428 in the US. Those are the figures of those nuclear warheads that are actually deployed in the second column there. So the Russians have the upper hand as far as nuclear weapons are concerned, but the United States has warned of catastrophic consequences for the Americans if the Russians were to use nuclear weapons. So there's a lot of guessing work as to what Vladimir Putin could do. The first thing is he could fire strategic nuclear weapons into Ukraine and destroy a city or a town, but then he would irk both China and India, who he would like to have on board to support him. The second thing he could do is to fire a nuclear warhead into the Black Sea as a warning to the West, which would not cause any damage, but to let them know he's ready to use them to go further as an intimidation tactic once again. And the third thing he could do is to move those nuclear warheads within Russia itself. That will be picked up by the satellites, and the West would see those nuclear weapons were on the move, and that would also be a warning to the West. Yes, we're moving them. Yes, we could use them. So therefore, you should not keep supplying weapons to Ukraine. All of those are questions we don't know the answer to. We don't know what Vladimir Putin will do. It all depends how this war is going to play out. But for him at the moment, it's not looking very good.
Philip, thank you for that. France 24's Philip Turle.